now that Aaron Rodgers is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler, it's time to go get him another weapon alongside DK Metcalf heading into the 2025 season. The Steelers have made it abundantly clear that they are looking for another offensive playmaker to pair with Rodgers and Metcalf. Today, we're going to be talking about the latest wide receiver targets and rumors, all these different things. I'm going to be letting you guys know the top-tier guys that could be gettable for the Steelers, some more realistic options, and then some of the less desirable options, at least in my opinion. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you guys want to get another receiver to add to the likes of DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, Calvin Austin III, and Roman Wilson here in the Steelers offense heading into the 2025 season. So before we get into kind of the targets here and their pros and cons and all this different stuff, let's talk about what the Steelers have right now. Because right now, I would expect them to have a four-man rotation if they don't make any more moves. That would be DK Metcalf. Robert Woods would be coming in for early down work as a run blocker and as a possession wide receiver. And then Calvin Austin III would be more of your pass-heavy downs type of guy. Can't run block, but is dynamic as a receiving threat with his route running ability, his yak ability, his vertical play ability. I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in the game. And then Roman Wilson as your slot specialist. After that, you got Ben Skoranek, who's a blocker and a special teamer, Scotty Miller, Brandon Johnson. Not a whole lot to write home about after these four guys. And I think what Pittsburgh needs is essentially somebody to take Robert Woods' role in this offense, at least to this point, which is the early down work kind of guy. Somebody that's a bigger wide receiver, somebody who can run block, somebody that, in my opinion, this is another really important piece to this, he's got to be a good route runner because DK Metcalf has a little bit of a limited route tree. And I think especially with a guy like Aaron Rodgers who likes to change plays at the line of scrimmage, do hot routes, have these little hand signals, he needs somebody with a very diverse route tree out there that can be out there pretty much every single play so that he can do these audibles and, pretty much tell the receiver what to run and then they're going to do it. So he needs a veteran route runner out there as well. So tier one is, get them if you can. These are guys that I probably don't think are going to get traded by their respective teams, but if they're available, the Steelers should absolutely be in on trading for these players. All right, Terry McLaurin is the popular one in this tier among Steelers fans. And listen, if the Commanders are willing to come to the table, cough, cough, they won't be. But if they are, absolutely, the Steelers should be willing to give up a pretty high draft pick to go out and get Terry McLaurin. I'm not giving up a first rounder, but I'd be willing to give up as much as a second round pick to get Terry McLaurin. Chris Olave from the Saints. Once again, I don't expect the Saints to trade him away, but the Steelers have called about him, and he would be an excellent route runner to pair with DK Metcalf. And then a couple of Colts wide receivers. Now, I don't know if the Colts are going to be willing to come to the table. They do have Adonai Mitchell, who they believe in, but he does have some off-the-field concerns. Alec Pierce is an awesome deep threat and a big body, and Michael Pittman Jr. is a really good possession receiver. It's a really good short to intermediate route runner that you can consider if you want to make a move there. But honestly, guys, if I'm being honest, I don't think any of those teams are going to be willing to deal any of those wide receivers. So let's get to the more realistic options. Guys that I think could absolutely be gettable for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll start with Romeo Doubs from the Green Bay Packers. I think he's probably the most likely trade candidate for the Pittsburgh Steelers because there's a lot of things to like about him. He's only 25 years old. He's a good run blocker, and he's played in a system that requires him to run block with Matt LaFleur there at the Green Bay Packers. He's got a big body. He's got incredibly quick feet. He runs really good routes. People early on in his career have even called him a light version of Davante Adams. He's not Davante Adams because he doesn't have the same ball skills, but he moves very similarly at a very similar type of size. And of course, he had that 1 year with Aaron Rodgers in his rookie season back in 2022. So he has the experience with the new Steelers quarterback. So if you can get him for a decent price, I'd be all in on Romeo Doubs. But there's a couple free agent options here that are veterans. Amari Cooper, formerly with the Cleveland Browns and Buffalo Bills last year, and then Keenan Allen, the 33-year-old, formerly with the Chicago Bears. I think both of these guys, when you watch them on film, still very, very capable route running, bigger type of receivers. Both of them can play either in the slot or outside. Obviously, Allen known more for the slot, but they can both play outside if needed. And I think that if you can add either one of these guys, Aaron Rodgers would love to play with the savvy veterans and the presence that they bring to their offenses. Then Jalen McMillan is another younger receiver that I would love to trade for if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I don't know if the Buccaneers are going to be willing to trade McMillan away. He had a really good rookie season, but they did bring in Emeka Egbuka in round 1 this year, and they also drafted Tez Johnson out of Oregon this year as well. And that's already, adding to the guys they already have. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. So if they were open to giving up Jalen McMillan, I would be in on him. And then, I would prefer Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen to Adam Thielen as kind of the older guys on this list. But Thielen is still somebody that can play outside, even though he spends most of the time there in Carolina in the slot. He runs really crafty routes. He's got incredible ball skills still. And even at age 34, I think he can help the Steelers. Plus, the Steelers were interested in him at the trade deadline last year. So for the right price, I think the Steelers would once again be in on a trade for Thielen. Now we can move on to Tier 3, and these are the guys that, in my opinion, are not ideal. Maybe these guys are not established number 2 receivers in the league, but, they're fine. All right, I think that they're guys that can be serviceable and guys with some upside that I would be cool with getting if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before I reveal the Tier 3 guys, if you're enjoying yourself here on today's edition of Steelers Talk, click that thumbs up icon for a free and easy way to help us out. The more people that like this video, the more YouTube is going to push this in their algorithm to more Steelers fans like yourselves. It really does help us grow, guys. So if you want to help us out today, click that thumbs up icon. It's free to do so. Let me get to my Tier 3 wide receiver targets. Dontavian Wicks, somebody that's a good route runner, good run blocker. He's going to bring a level of physicality to the Steelers if they trade for him. But he has a little bit of a ball skills issue and a drop issue. Trey Palmer, for his size, on 190 pounds, is one of the fastest players in the National Football League. He's a yak threat and a vertical threat because of that. Decent route runner. He really does try as a run blocker as well, so that's something Arthur Smith would appreciate. And apparently, according to Zachary Smith from Steelers Now, the Steelers have inquired about Trey Palmer, so keep your eye on him. Also, John Mechie is another guy where he hasn't exactly broken out yet, but I think he fits what the Steelers are looking for. Good route runner, good run blocker. I think he would be very solid. Jalen Coker for the Carolina Panthers. Good route runner, crafty route runner with good hands, good size as well. Allen Lazard, he stinks, but he has chemistry with Aaron Rodgers for a 7th-round pick. I guess I wouldn't mind that one necessarily. And then Gabe Davis, he certainly has the speed and the size and to be frank, the production. He's had some pretty big seasons there with the Buffalo Bills, but last year coming off an injury and not very good on the field once he took away Josh Allen. Steelers brought him in for a visit, so keep your eye on him, but he also has a visit with the New Orleans Saints this week. And then there's also been reports about the Steelers' interest in a couple tight ends. Jonnu Smith from the Miami Dolphins, Pro Bowl player last year, and then Kyle Pitts, the former top 5 pick from the Florida Gators with the Atlanta Falcons. By the way, Arthur Smith drafted Kyle Pitts when he was with Atlanta. But here's the thing, guys. I don't think Pittsburgh goes for the tight end. Now, even though they are trying to add, a weapon of some kind, and they are open to the idea of it being a tight end, I don't think it's going to be a tight end. And the reason for that is because Jonnu Smith, I think, will be too expensive, and then Kyle Pitts just isn't good enough and will be too expensive. Like, apparently the Falcons are asking for a day 2 pick for Kyle Pitts, and his numbers and his tape last year just don't warrant that, in my opinion, especially somebody that is getting a little bit older and is getting towards the end of his rookie contract here. If they do trade for a tight end, though, I do hope it's Jonnu Smith. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Which weapon or weapons are you hoping the Steelers land this offseason? For me, I would love to trade for Romeo Doubs or sign Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen. Those would be my top 3 at this point in time. And, of course, if you can get Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, Alec Pierce, or Michael Pittman Jr., I don't think you can. But if you do, then absolutely go get one of those guys. But more realistically, Doubs, Cooper, Allen are my 3 guys. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got more Steelers content coming your way. We'll also keep you updated with the latest Steelers wide receiver rumors as their search for their next wide receiver 2 continues. So make sure you click that subscribe button and join the Steelers Talk family today.